Welcome back, everyone, to PA the FI Way. I'm your host, Kat, and I just want to say a huge welcome to all the new listeners for the podcast, as well as all of the new subscribers for the YouTube channel. If I met you at the AAPA conference, also welcome. Besides meeting and connecting with a lot of PAs that I know virtually through social media or other places online, another highlight was the two roundtable discussions that I helped facilitate on Monday of AAPA. And these roundtable discussions were for early career PAs. The first topic in the morning at the table that I was a part of was avoiding burnout in healthcare. And the second topic later in the afternoon was about personal finances and student loans. These topics are incredibly near and dear to my heart. So I feel so grateful that I was able to be a part of these and that AAPA is having these opportunities for mentorship from PAs that have been around for a while, such as myself, for the newer PA grads within their first 5 years of their career. They are definitely something that I wish I had as a newer PA. It allows for opportunity for mentorship and as well as a discussion amongst your peers to help you feel heard, understood, validated, and understand that you are absolutely not alone with a lot of the things that you are feeling and a lot of the burdens that you are having as a newer grad PA. Part of those conversations helped facilitate today's episode. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the Burned Out PA's Guide to Career Optionality. So many of those newer grad PAs, they were within even about 2 or 3 years, not necessarily 5 years into their career, but they were already experiencing symptoms of burnout, and they were at this point of their career where they were trying to decide if they should stay in their current role or if they should look elsewhere for a job. And they came to the conversations sharing some of their concerns, some of their red flags in their current role, some of why they're feeling burned out, whether that was either a heavy workload that they had, where they were expected to see many patients in a short amount of time, or sometimes it was even the sense of not feeling as though they were valued or were appreciated in their role. And you would hear these stories, and part of these conversations certainly is not where we come in and say, you need to switch jobs, right? That's definitely not our place because that decision is definitely a personal decision for every PA out there. It's a place where we can ask reflection questions to them and coach them and help them come to the decision on their own. Again, validate their concerns. And a lot of what the conversation can look like is, hey, is there a way to make your role better and to make it work for you and have those open and honest conversations with your workplace and your employer? Or is it, hey, everyone at the table believes that that sounds unsustainable and unreasonable? It's okay to look elsewhere and it's okay to pivot. Very likely one of the reasons why you chose the PA profession was because of the options that this career brings to you. That was certainly one of my reasons for choosing the PA profession. I had no idea what specialty I wanted to dedicate my life for many, many, many decades, right? So I loved the option to be able to switch specialties throughout my PA career. Besides being able to switch specialties, as you know, you can also pivot to a non-clinical type of role within medicine or a non-patient contact role. There are so many options out there. And part of this conversation today is I want you to understand that you still have those options and they can help with your burnout if you choose to make changes. But that is something that only you can decide for yourself. No one out there can decide that for you. But if you are starting to have that feeling of, hey, this is not sustainable, how in the world am I going to do this for another 6 months, 12 months, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now? Start thinking about what might be the next choice for you in the next chapter of your life. It's always a great reminder that you don't have to make the next best decision for you for the next 20 years. But what is the next best decision for you for the next few years? That's okay to make that decision at this point. Many burned out PAs don't just feel overwhelmed and exhausted, but rather they actually feel trapped and stuck. They can feel trapped by their student loan debt, other debt that they have. They feel like they have to keep that role to make a lot of money to pay off their debt. They might feel trapped by the schedule that their current role has, the productivity demands. Maybe your workplace keeps increasing the amount of patients you need to see, the RVUs you need to aim for, the certain number of visits that you have in a day, and more. Many PAs can feel stuck because they identify with being a PA and a PA only, and they are afraid to look for non-clinical roles or roles that you don't see patients in. So many PAs feel trapped by the fear of change. Change is a thing that causes so many PAs to feel stuck in their current role and not actually have the courage to make change because they fear what is on the other side. Newsflash for you: if your current role is unsustainable, then what is holding you back from looking elsewhere? Many PAs feel stuck from the lack of financial literacy because they don't have goals for using their money as a tool to provide future freedom for themselves. Many PAs can feel stuck because they simply don't feel confident. They don't know how to negotiate and ask for their worth and for their value. But when you create options for your career, then you no longer can feel trapped and feel stuck. Creating options can create the option for you to either pivot completely, reduce your clinical hours, negotiate more, change specialties, try something like telemedicine, take a sabbatical during your career, pursue a role in leadership, create additional income streams if that's something that you're interested in, leave toxic work environments, and work in a role that you actually feel as though you're providing value and feels as though it's a good fit for you because you want to, not because of the pressure that you have. If you feel as though you're starting to feel this way, I want to encourage you to go to the show notes for this episode and download your copy of the Burned Out PA Career Freedom Audit. And that will be a worksheet where you can actually audit how much freedom and how many options you have in your PA role, or if you are truly stuck and truly trapped, and give you some ideas of what changes you can make. So let's talk about what is career optionality as a PA. Career optionality is creating enough skills, confidence, financial margin, and flexibility that gives you choices for your life. Career optionality is not necessarily quitting medicine altogether. It's not necessarily creating passive income. It's not necessarily becoming an entrepreneur, but it's about reducing the feeling of being stuck and trapped in your role that does not feel right for you. Some more examples of creating optionality in your PA role, besides what was previously mentioned, could be where you negotiate your schedule and change your hours or your work days. You implement teaching at a PA program. You become a locum tenens PA. And that can create lots of options for you where you choose to work on your own terms for the amount of pay that you negotiate and the state that you want to work in. At APA, I was able to connect with two locums PAs. One is Fedna Morency, who I hosted back on episode 143 of the podcast. Go ahead and take a listen to that if you haven't yet. And I also ran into Caroline, who I had interviewed back on episodes 58 and 59, where we talked about locum tenens and 1099 jobs. Caroline now works way up in the very northern part of Alaska and transitioned from a 1099 role back to a W-2 role. So again, there are so many options with the PA career where you can go back and forth between the two, or maybe you have a 1099 role and a W-2 role. Maybe you have a part-time W-2 role and a part-time locum tenens role where you travel around. Maybe creating career optionality looks like creating the option to have remote work like I have as a telepsych PA. Again, there are so many options with this career. It's important that you take time to reflect and figure out what would help you feel unstuck and feel less trapped overall. Let's talk about why the lack of optionality can actually fuel burnout for you. Burnout worsens when you feel replaceable, when you feel powerless in your role, when you feel as though you financially need this role, but you can't leave, even though it's a toxic role for you. When you fear like you might lose income if you make a mistake, or feel as though they're going to let you go, or if you feel like your identity is actually tied to your productivity as a PA, and when you feel as though there's no way out. Having a good PA job on paper can feel like you have golden handcuffs and that you can't leave, but maybe it's not the best fit for you. I absolutely had a lot of fear when I was burned out working in family medicine full time, I was afraid of switching specialties, even though I felt as though likely changing to a specialty with a focus would help me instead of just general medicine. I was still really nervous about it and concerned, what if I hate it worse than my current role? Or what if it's way harder and I can't get used to it? What if I have lack of support? I also had a lot of fear when I switched from a W-2 role working as a psych PA to a 1099 role working through a different clinic as a psych PA and changing to part-time. With that transition also, it was a switch from salary in the W-2 role over to a percentage of collections for my compensation. And that caused a lot of financial concerns, a lot of financial worries and stress too. But I knew that I wanted to do that change because it allowed me to work remotely as a telepsych PA. And that was one of the top priorities in my life at that point. PAs who are nervous to make this change, I always encourage them that you don't know if the grass is greener on the other side, but you don't know unless you actually go look, right? So you do need to make a change. Otherwise, you'll just be stuck sitting there wondering. And another reminder is you often can go back to your other role. I know an NP that had left the family med clinic that I was at who tried working in a different role for a while, and she actually came back. I know another PA who left a role and returned to her previous role after she found that the other role was even worse. Often, when you return to those previous roles, you have further negotiation powers too, because that workplace actually remembers how hard of a worker you were and that they liked you working for them and that they're more willing to have those conversations with you. So it can create leverage if you did not burn bridges if you do end up leaving. Next, let's transition to talking about different types of career optionality. The first type is financial optionality. This is the ability to make decisions without immediate financial panic or stress. It can look like having a robust emergency fund, reducing the total debt that you owe, having lower fixed monthly expenses, investing more for your future, and avoiding lifestyle inflation overall. Money itself doesn't solve burnout, but lack of money can keep you trapped inside a burnout. Another example of optionality for the PA profession is skills optionality. And what that means is that you have transferable skills. Now, when you think of skills, you might be thinking only the clinical skills. For example, knowing how to do an IND, knowing how to suture, knowing how to do a joint injection, knowing how to place an IUD. However, there are many types of skills that you have that are more soft skills and not clinical skills. For example, leadership. In your role as a PA, you are leading a team. You are part of a team and you are leading a team. You are leading your MAs, your nurses that you work with. You have to communicate respectfully and efficiently with the admin team, with the lab team, with the imaging team. So leadership is an excellent skill that you have. Additionally, communication. You also have to be able to communicate with your workplace team, but you also have to communicate very well with your patients. Public speaking. You might say, oh, I'm horrible at public speaking, but you talk all day long with people. And sure, it's different when you're talking in front of hundreds or thousands of people compared to one-on-one with a patient, but yet you are still practicing those public speaking skills. You also have teaching as a skill. You have to teach your patients all sorts of things all day long. You very likely also have writing skills where you're writing your SOAP note, you are writing discharge instructions or summaries, you're writing about lab results and sharing those through the patient portal. So sure, your clinical skills matter, and especially if you're wanting to become a locum tenens PA or switch to an adjacent specialty, your clinical skills do matter. But you also have many non-clinical transferable skills that you can use within medicine or in non-clinical roles too. The next type of optionality is relationship optionality. And this is, again, the huge reminder that your network creates opportunities for you. It's so important that you get plugged in with a community or several types of communities out there. Other people that might be part of your network could be your mentors, whether they are finance mentors or whether they are clinical mentors. Maybe they are doing something that you want to do that you aren't aware of how to do it. Other colleagues could be part of your network or other PAs in a specialty that you're interested in getting into in the future. The people that you meet at conferences, both other PAs or other healthcare providers or even people at different booths in the expo hall, different professional organizations such as your state PA society, and then lots of options for online communities out there too. The next type of optionality is identity optionality. And many PAs feel as though they are a PA and that is it. That's all that they can relate to. They don't feel like anyone else can understand. And they forget to maintain and nurture the other parts of them, whether it's the part where they're a great friend or great family member, or it's the hobbies that they enjoy doing outside of medicine. All of those things can help with their burnout too. And then final type of optionality is time optionality. Remember, how you can spend your time is the ultimate freedom that you're aiming for. When you have time freedom, because you've created it through financial freedom, you can say no to a schedule that doesn't align with you and your values. You can say no and set boundaries to lots of things that you don't agree with and practice medicine on your terms. You can reduce overtime, refuse to chart outside of your work hours. You can create flexible work for you. You can create more vacation time, whether that's PTO or unpaid time if you are in a 1099 role and can take whatever time off that you want, whether it's creating sabbaticals for you throughout your career. And time freedom connects with your social connections too. You can spend your time with the people that you want, doing what you want as well. You can use your time to maintain your health, and you can use your time for paid or unpaid work that gives you purpose and lights you up. So now you might be asking, what are some practical ways that you can start building optionality when you're feeling that point of burnout? Ideally, you're doing this before the point of crisis, before you're completely burnt out. But here are some small steps that you can start today. One is you can update your CV. If you haven't revisited that for a while, you can go update it. Add those skills that you have to it. You can reconnect with mentors or meet new mentors and reach out to them. You can find one conference that you want to attend. You can learn a new skill, whether that's a clinical skill or a non-clinical skill. You can start tracking your finances and create financial breathing room for you. You can start or build up an emergency fund. You can explore other opportunities out there, whether it's completely a different job or maybe it's a PRN side role that you want to add on. You could take leadership training if you do want to transition into a leadership role. And always remember, when you are networking, either with mentors or your peers, other types of PAs out there, remember to start that now and maintain that throughout your career. It's so important that you start the networking and don't do it when you feel like you're really pressured and have to, because then you're not coming from a place of feeling genuine, but instead do it before you actually need to do it. And remember that the goals for creating optionality in your PA career are not only to help you feel less burned out, but to help you have a sense of agency, protect your well-being overall, design a sustainable life, and be able to work from a place of alignment instead of fear or pressure or like you have to. So I'm curious, where do you currently feel trapped? Where do you feel as though you have very few options in your PA career? What is one small step that you can do this month to start creating freedom for you? If this resonated with you, I encourage you to grab your free download for the Burned Out PA Career Freedom Audit from the show notes to help you audit and assess how trapped you actually are feeling right now versus feeling as though you have options in your career and creating those options, and giving you some reflection questions to help guide you to figure out what to focus on first. Remember, action creates clarity. If you are stuck in your mind and these swirly thoughts and worries and fear and feeling stuck and feeling trapped, the only way out is actually doing something. So you do need to take action. Otherwise, you'll feel that way forever. I'm also in the first steps of building something for PAs that are feeling stuck and feeling burned out and feeling like they don't know very much about their finances. So if you're wanting to create more freedom, then I also invite you to check out the other link in the show notes or in the description to join the waitlist for the PA Freedom Method. The PA Freedom Method will be a step-by-step framework to help you simplify your money, buy back your time, and create the option to work less. If you join the waitlist, you'll be one of the first to know when the application opens for the founding cohort. The spots will be limited to create a supportive and action-oriented experience for the PAs that join. Once again, I so very much appreciate you tuning in. And if this episode was helpful for you, if you can think of other PA friends or colleagues that this would resonate with, I encourage you to share this episode with them. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here soon.